Welcome back to day 3 of the ITM Congress highlights of EANM 2024. Unfortunately, today we were not so lucky with the weather, so we have to do an indoor shoot. Nevertheless, we had very exciting sessions to attend. So, Caroline, you please kick it off with the plenary.
Yeah, so the plenary today tried to show us how PET can really answer questions that we will have in our patients in different clinical scenarios. We have prostate cancer, we have neuroendocrine tumors, cardiology, rheumatology, immunopet as well. And I especially liked the prostate cancer talk that was given by Jochen Waltz. And he explained very clearly how over the last 10 years, PSMA PET has revolutionized the way that we treat patients, how it affects clinical decision-making in primary staging, in biochemical recurrence, and now also in the more advanced stages of prostate cancer. This was not the only prostate we had today. So, Ken, you also were in the prostate session in the afternoon. What do you think about that?
There was a wonderful dedicated prostate cancer session with a couple of abstracts. We're going to highlight, I think, 4 of them. So one of them is quite interesting because there's a new target going to be established, CD13, dedicated for patients who have a PSMA negative prostate cancer. It was a really translational study, right? We saw a lot of initial concept finding data on cell lines and this was and then tumor samples. And this is actually how CD13 with proteomics was discovered. And then they actually developed a ligand which was tested preclinically in a couple of different tumor models and then also translated into imaging. What do you think about the imaging? I think it was in primary staging.
Yeah, so they showed some patients that had been studied, primarily patients that were PSMA positive. There was also, I think, one patient that was PSMA negative. The CD13 signal was a bit variable between these patients, but I think it was great to see this new target come into the play of prostate cancer. May be very interested in PSMA negative patients. And hopefully when we see patients also in a more advanced stage of prostate cancer being scanned, hopefully we get a good signal, and this may also be a target that we can use for therapy, actually.
Absolutely correct, because when you looked a little bit into the more details, you saw that they look at tumor tissue, and actually the expression was complementary, right? So even PSMA positive tumors had a high likelihood of being CD13 positive, I think 86%. In contrast, the PSMA negative ones were even in 93% of the cases CD13 positive. I think another very exciting thing was the COBRA study. The COBRA study tried to prospectively evaluate a new tracer, copper saturate PSMA. And I think it's quite interesting because they perform imaging on day 1, so on the day of the injection, but also on the next day. And the results were quite impressive because on the next day, actually, we saw many more lesions. Yeah. So what do you think?
Yeah, the images that they showed excellent tumor to background ratio. The lesions were very clear, so I think it's very promising also for sites that don't have access maybe to volume or to F18, so that PSMA imaging also becomes more clear. And very looking forward to the results from the next phase study that will happen with this copper PSMA ligand.
One thing I wasn't really sure about was, did they include all patients, all comer patients, or did they predominantly exclude patients where the standard of care scan was actually negative? They claim the standard of care was negative, but what means standard of care? Do you think the PSMA PET was included?
It was not so clear. Also, it was asked by one of the people that was attending the lecture. So as I understood it, there is at the moment no clear comparison between the copper PSMA and the standard of care gallium PSMA 11 PET CT scan. So for me, that was not clear at the moment, but it must be said that the images looked great. Lesions were very, very clear on what was shown. I think it was also evident that the next day imaging performed better than the imaging on the day itself. Of course, patients need to come in a second time. May be difficult for some settings. But it looks very promising, and really looking forward to seeing more results from
It's always good to have another PET tracer available,
Absolutely.
Right? Even so, I'm not a big fan of next-day imaging, to be honest. Nevertheless, there was another paper with Loic Jalip's first author. I think quite interesting. We know we perform PSMA PET interim staging, usually after 2 cycles. And what he tried to understand is if the patients who showed a change of estrogen and estrogen max, if that would be somehow prognostic for patients, especially for continuation of therapy. And this was not the case.
No,
in contrast, changes in total tumor volume, in changes of number of lesions, they were prognostic. So I think quite interesting, no?
Yeah, I think the recent data were also there becoming more or less proven again. So we see a change in volume and the appearance of new lesions that clearly are associated with worse overall survival in patients with lutetium PSMA treatment. So it was an interesting session. And of course, the session was ended by work from your group in Essen. We saw the results from the PROMISE registry, which was already quite impressive. There were more than 1,500 scans being included in that analysis. So what are the main results from this data set so far?
I think, first of all, thank you very much. And of course, I'm biased. It's one of the projects which is really dear to my heart. The main idea is really to take advantage of a lot of information we have in Germany with PSMA PET. We have a long follow-up. And the idea was actually to find out how prognostic is PSMA PET at different stages. Mm-hmm. I mean, this is the first analysis, right? We had 33% of the patients who were included actually also unfortunately experienced already a death event. So we are really able to look at the different situations during a patient's life, how prognostic PSMA PET is. And I think the exciting information is that PSMA PET was prognostic at all different stages, which means at primary staging, in the case of biochemical recurrence, as well as in the use of MCRPC and hormone-sensitive prostate cancer. But of course, this is just roughly 2,000 patients. The next analysis with more than 6,500 patients is coming soon.
Yep. And then we had yesterday a great session also on neuroendocrine therapy. What were your highlights from that lecture? So
there are two abstracts which were quite interesting. So one of them was a prospective multicenter study, actually looking at the combination of lutetium dotatate plus capecitabine. And this was, to my understanding, a negative trial.
Yes, but it was very nicely presented, and it's also important that we get these negative trials being presented. So the trial showed no worse adverse events when the treatments were being combined, but unfortunately also no benefit regarding progression-free survival or overall survival. And then what I was really looking forward to was a nomogram that is being developed in a large patient cohort from Spain, looking into predictive parameters that could predict the response that patients will have to PRRT. So what did you think about that one?
So, I mean, the interesting part is that unfortunately there was no imaging included yet, right? Mm-hmm. Which means for me, it's a good starting point. Clinical nomograms are always important, they help us.
Yep.
But I really hope to look actually for the next edition when they are going to incorporate dotatate imaging as well as FDG PET imaging. And if I understand correctly, Gilles Baudet is going to help them and provide this information, correct?
Yes. Yeah. There's a clear connection with Carlos Artigas being a Spanish guy. So
not completely surprising.
Yeah. But looking forward to having indeed the imaging data, which I think is very important to have that also included in a nomogram.
So for the very brave people, yesterday at actually 4:45 on a Sunday evening, I think it's a pretty rough time, there was also an arena session on healthcare system readiness. And I have to say that was really, really inspiring because we had 4 different actually stakeholders. Mm-hmm. We had a nuclear medicine physician, we had someone from the European community, we had an oncologist, and we had someone from pharma telling how we can really bring ligand therapy to patients. And talking about call of action, and I want to bring only one thing to you. Actually, the colleague Dr. Olswart from the European community said, each of us should reach out to his local representative and make him aware how good is ligand therapy, because many of the politicians do not really know this.
Yeah.
This being said, I think we're approaching the end of our video today.
Yeah, I think we again had a great day today, also yesterday, and tomorrow hopefully we'll have again a great day here at EANM. We're looking forward to the last plenary, which will really look into the future of nuclear medicine and including the Marie Curie lecture. So very much looking forward to that one. Also hope to see you here again tomorrow, when we again give our highlights of what we've seen during our day at EANM 2024. See you tomorrow.